Three, two, one. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of YQL Real Talk and the Lethbridge Monthly Market Update with Kurtis Hawkins and Brett Gurr. And today we're going to be going over last month's numbers, which is from February, just to see where the market's at and what the Lethbridge real estate market is doing.
As we kind of talked about before, there was one major thing that we looked at.
Which was?
Well, that was the average home price. It was kind of what we suspected what would happen, things would level out. And we kind of thought maybe the sky was falling last month.
Right.
Turns out it was not. So we'll get into that one.
The average home price last month, just for reference, was $299,000.
Yeah, $299,000, and the month prior to that was $348,000. So we'll get into where it ended up at.
Generally speaking, we're usually right around that 330 to 350 mark. Mm-hmm. So that was like a huge jump. Just to add some more context, that's a huge decrease in average home price. So it is kind of shocking when you first hear it.
It most certainly was. We saw it and we were like, oh, wow. So as far as homes sold, last month we had 107 homes sold in February. January, we saw 99. December saw 79. And November was 107. And then another reference point we've got is last year was 172 at this point in time. So big change from last year.
Definitely picking up from the last 2 months.
Yeah, certainly. And another average that we brought in as well, so we could get a better grasp of the market as a whole, as of what it's doing, is a 5-year average we're looking at as well. 5-year average over that point in time was 151. So we're a little below the 5-year average as far as homes sold. And I think mainly that has to attest to we've got low inventory right now. You know, I definitely think that's a major factor.
That's also February still.
Yes, definitely.
Right? So that's also a slower time of year.
Mm-hmm.
And with this 5-year average, obviously, half of these months are going to be under that 5-year average. Half of the months are going to be over.
So active homes on market for last month, February, were 414. January prior to that was 428. And 427 in December, and November was 491.
Yeah, so just looking at those two numbers, you can already see that more homes are selling compared to the last 2 months, and there's less homes on the market compared to the last 2 months too.
Yeah.
So they go hand in hand, but if you saw a whole bunch of new listings, that would balance it off, and we're just not seeing those new listings quite yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, if you look at last year at this time, the same thing happened, and the springtime got insanely crazy because there was nothing to choose from. So as soon as something good came on, it was going right away.
Yeah, they did not last at all. In fact, I did pull average days on market for the last year. Average days on market, 67 in 2021, 56 in 2022.
You mean that's the average for average days on market throughout the whole year?
Yeah, okay. Well, just an average for the year. So you can definitely tell that based on that, things were certainly going quick through that point in time. So, which is a testament to active homes on market, somewhat of a direct correlation there. Going back as well, the last year was 367 for active homes on market. 5-year average is 641. So again, we're way below that average.
Yeah, to almost 230 less homes than average.
Yeah, and again, like
more
you
than
said
last
before,
year.
This is through the slower months of November to January to February. So granted, we're going to be certainly lower than that.
Yeah, obviously we're up from last year. Last year in February we're at 367, but not crazy.
No,
not like it's double.
No.
You know, interest rates have more than doubled.
Yeah,
and you'd think that your average homes on market would double, but no, they're still relatively low. So,
and then average days on market, we're looking at 83. Was last month for average days on market, which is down a little bit from last month. We are seeing a little bit of the market heating up a little bit due to that. January was 86, December was 80, November was 66. The last year, this time was 65. The overall 5-year average floats around 78 on those. So definitely a little bit higher than the average, but again, months.
In the last podcast, we had said that looking at averages, it should be around 90. So I'm actually surprised it's that low.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we're right around average for that. We're a little bit higher, of course.
And that's what I thought as well. But keep in mind, 2 years of this are COVID years. 2 years of this, the average days on market.
So if we take out those
was,
COVID years,
like I said, yeah, take out those COVID years, look at the numbers. So the numbers prior to COVID, 2018, 80 days on market was average. 2019, 97 days on market was average.
yeah.
2020, 89. So again, that 90-day average is still there. Soon as COVID hit,
So we're still doing better than pre-COVID.
absolutely. Soon as COVID hit, 67 and 56 average days on market. So those 2 COVID years are certainly bringing this average down.
I guess we're kind of far off because we're 65 days on market was February last year. So technically we'll still call that a COVID year. That's a COVID market for realtors because it was it was a super hot market for anybody. And
Yeah,
we're 20 days up. So again, that's not,
Yeah.
it's really not too bad at all.
No, it's we're almost seeing, due to the low inventory, we're kind of teetering back into a seller's market almost. You know,
On the cusp for sure.
yeah, like if you've got an $800,000 house to sell, it's not necessarily a seller's market in that area, but
those average homes around that 350 mark, like,
yeah, they're not spending a lot of time on the market. Well, you had one just recently
they too.
yeah, that didn't last, within 15 days, you had offers on both of them.
Yep.
So
I had one that was listed at 350 and then one at 375, both on the same street, and both of them were gone under a month.
yeah,
I mean, both of them were pretty decent properties, but yeah, it's like that sweet spot right there is around that 350. And I've even before that, I was in, I want to say maybe it was December. Geez, time flies. Maybe it was December or January.
hard to believe it's March.
But again, inventory was still low, similar market conditions. I was out looking for an investor. We were looking for a suited home or one that could be converted to a suited home. So we were looking at some that had no business being suited, but they were right around that 350, 370 mark in Copperwood. Like we were going there first day listed and there was competing offers and we're like, what the heck? This is supposed to be December in a slow market. And again, the conditions now are very similar. So I think if you're right in that average house price range, so 300 to 350, 375 in there, you're gonna be doing really good.
Yeah. So average home price. So this is the one we were talking about before last month. We were like, oh, what happened here? And so again, we looked at it last month and we were like, ooh, what's actually happening? We brought up what was happening.
Well, and I think what would be scary to some people without looking at it some more is if you saw that number, you'd think that, oh my God, the housing market in Lethbridge is crashing because there's
believe the media, it's happening.
The $350,000 home that's average is now 300, but that wasn't the case.
So needless to say, I was real excited to bring up this statistic and find out where we were actually at. And not to my surprise, but February came up with an all-time Lethbridge high of $351,783. So we were up significantly over January at that $299,614. December prior to that was $348,765. Prior to that, in November was $332,969. So going back a year prior, we were at 347 this time, 347,684 this time last year, which was pretty crazy. We've now breached that. We've now gone over it. And our 5-year average that Lethbridge has seen is 310,814. So housing prices are still up. We'll see.
Contrary to the news that you see out there that housing prices are coming down, which they are in bigger centers. But like if you look at those big centers, they were up 50% year over year in some markets. Yeah. So there's room for them to come down.
Boo-hoo, I lost money. Oh, well, I made 50% on my investment the year prior to that, but now I've lost 20. So,
so they're still probably up 30%.
Yeah.
So they're doing fine.
Whereas Lethbridge, we don't see those big peaks and valleys, but we see more of a gradual climb, and we're seeing it here again. We had an anomaly in January where it dropped to $299.
And that wasn't the housing prices. That was just the amount of homes selling under 300, basically, when we really dug into it.
Yeah, so. We dug into it. There were a few small condos, few apartments that went for under 100,000. Yeah. So you sell 2 or 3 of those, and certainly that's going to drop your average.
And not very many properties over 600. I think there's only like 2.
Yeah, I think the highest that we saw in February, the highest property that sold within the Lethbridge area again. Was 685 or 695. So that'll certainly drop the average
in January.
Yes, in January. Yeah. And then the last statistic that we always like to look at as well is the original list price to what the home actually goes for. And we're starting to see this is normally an indication of where people are asking, if they're asking for the moon on their property or they're coming back down to reality. And we're starting to see.
Or it could also work the other way, that the buyers are seeing more value in it because the market's heating up a bit too.
That's true too. Yeah. And we are definitely seeing a bit of that as well too. Yeah. So absolutely, very good point. So current month, we were at 96.7%. January was 95.1%. December was 96%. November, 95.6%. The year previous to that, in that COVID era, was 97.9%. So certainly homes were going for near asking or close to it for a lot of them. And 5-year average on this has been 95.34. So, the average, even during those COVID years, I'm sure those bring that average up.
Well, yeah. And look at February from last year, 97, almost 98%. And right now we're almost at 97%. So it's still very close.
Yeah.
So that shows you like how tight the market is still.
Yeah, it is. And we've seen a climb in February as well to 96.7. That's the highest that we've been. So obviously there's more buyers out there.
We talked about this last week a little bit, but I just wanted to bring it up again because I think it reinforces what the market like is here and why it's propped up so well. So even with like national headlines, you're saying that, like I have one here from yahoo.ca or Yahoo Finance or whatever, talking about Canada home sales dropped 22% from last year as rates rise. Okay, that's all fine and dandy. I've had 2 clients within the last month that were ready to buy in Lethbridge. They took a trip out here. We looked at some properties and they found the one they wanted. So they went home and we put a conditional offer in here, which last year you could not get those accepted. People were like, nope, I'm not waiting for you to list your house. There's 2 other people that have 5 other people, who knows, that have their house listed that are ready to buy that are going to give me an offer today. So you're not going to get this accepted. So I had 2 clients, both of them, they came here, found the house that they liked. We put an offer in conditional on their selling back in Ontario. And right at the beginning, the seller was like, oh, they're listed in BC. Could take a long time for this to go through. I don't know if we can do it. I don't know. Don't even bother putting the offer in. And I was thinking to myself, really? And I was talking to these guys. I was like, how quick do you think it's going to take? Like out here, average day on market is 60. Do you think you can sell your house within 60 days? Because that's probably what they're expecting.
Yeah.
They call their agent and their agent says, well, I just listed one down the street and went within a week. And we had about 30 showings the first week. And I'm like, what? Like this is back. Are we back in a COVID market? And I was like, I don't know if I believe them. So I call them and I'm like, what's going on? How long is this going to take? So I can try to tell the agent here, hey, listen, they got a hot property. It's going to be gone. Let's get this thing accepted so that you guys can sell the house. These guys want it. They're going to sell their house. Yeah. And I talked to this agent and he was like, yeah, at the price they want, like he really wanted this price. We're going to go a little bit above that. Like if I listed at the price he wanted, and we're talking like within 20,000 or something, but if we wanted to list at the price he wanted, we could probably sell it in 2 weeks. Or sell it, sorry, at the price he wanted, we could probably sell it in like 1 to 2 days. Like it's going to be gone quick.
Oh yeah, wow.
But I don't want him to sell them that low. I was like, yeah, that's fair. And he was like, I'm going to list it 20 grand more than what he really wanted.
So they're even going higher.
A little bit higher.
Still getting fast.
And it was within a week, he had an accepted offer. Within 2 weeks, conditions removed. Yeah. It was a cash offer. Still an inspection. That's what took the week. But it was like, so that happened. And then I had, so that was in Ontario. I had another client from BC. It was the same thing. She was like, I'm moving here. I'm listing my house on Monday. By the end of the week, accepted offer.
Nice.
Which was only happening last year in a crazy market, not when interest rates are at 5% right now.
Wow. So. Yeah, and they're obviously listing their house at a good price. They're obviously being smart with the price that they're asking for and going about it the right way. So good for them. That's awesome. It's a testament to the market.
Yeah,
of how good it is.
That's what I think the big takeaway is like that the market is still really good. So.
Yeah, that market. And so again, there it is, actual cases of people selling their places in BC and Ontario. And I'm sure there's obviously scenarios where it goes the other way. People have had their place on the market for 150 days. But again, you got to look at what are they asking, right? Are they trying to get rich off of their property or in their sale?
Yep.
So there's a lot of variables involved in that.
Oh yeah, I got a ton of examples from the last 6 months of people trying to list and it wasn't happening. But the market was like, as these interest rates were climbing so fast, it was really scaring people out there. And some of the agents that I was talking to in BC were saying like, I haven't seen it this low. Like it's slower than 2008 right now.
Right.
But now within the last couple months, it's starting to, I think people are just like used to, they're either used to interest rates rising or just used to where it's at. So they're more comfortable.
Yeah. Right.
So,
well, and again, we look at the interest rates where they're at. They're not terrible, right? They're in that 5% range.
Well, and it goes to like when you're buying something, you want to know what the price is going to be. And if those rates keep changing, it takes a lot of, what's the word? Confidence out of you.
Right.
When you don't know what's going to happen. So once they know, like, sure, interest rates could be at 7%, but as long as everybody knows that, it gives you more confidence that they're not, well, when next time I renew my mortgage, is it going to be at 20%?
Yeah.
Right. I think that's what people mostly get scared of.
Yeah. And I talked to a broker yesterday, and the general consensus that we're getting now is the Bank of Canada is meeting in the next couple of days here. And the consensus that we're getting is they're going to hold right now. Yeah, inflation seems to be cooling.
That's what I heard as well. I was hoping you were going to say
good.
That.
Yeah, they're going to hold. That's what we're hearing, and they're going to take it from there. See how it goes. See how the inflation is being handled. Are we going to see 2% interest rates ever again? Probably not. No, the reality of it is that's probably
unless
not.
There's another pandemic, which nobody wants.
Exactly. And the reality of it is that this is definitely a reasonable interest rate where we're at. Could it be better? Of course, it could always be better. It could be worse too. So,
and I think if if inflation kind of dies off, at least holds, and then starts to die off, we could see lower interest rates in the future, but 2%, probably not.
Yeah.
I think what I was told, this was a couple months ago, and it seems like it's always changing, but I've heard that if you just get used to 5% being the new normal for interest rates, which is fair.
Yeah. Well, and what I've heard is obviously nobody has a crystal ball here, but to see an interest rate of 3.5 is completely within the possible realm in the next 2 or 3 years. We can't predict that.
I could see 3%.
Yeah, that's the consensus of what my mortgage broker alluded to me. And, I got a few of them that I bounce off of here and there. And that's kind of the consensus through the market right now. So,
yeah. Another interesting article that I found is real estate fraud is up. And I was watching this, it's just a CBC, like little snippet. It's like 3 minutes long, but I really don't understand how this is working. So people are in Ontario specifically. This is what they were talking about. I haven't heard it in BC. Definitely have not heard of it here. Maybe it's happened. It just hasn't made the news. But these guys are contacting a realtor and listing the house, even though they don't own the house.
So, really?
So a renter's in there and they're saying, hey, Brett, come on over to my place.
Right.
I'm looking to list this place.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, I don't know how they're getting money out of this or what the deal is, if they're actually selling it and taking money.
Right.
But like first thing that you do as a realtor,
you pull title.
The title tells you who owns the house.
Then again,
if this is John Smith and Brett Gur's calling me over to list the house, they got a problem.
Yeah. We have seen it. I've sold houses where registrations have been on title of the home being sold to somebody else and the listing agent doesn't pick it up.
Yep.
Right. So you've now written an offer on this place. You're buying it. It's going to the lawyers. You're about to lift conditions and you look at the registration and there's something on the title that says, hey, this home is being registered to somebody else, red flag.
Yeah.
And you get a hold of your lawyer looks it up. Yep. That's being registered. And how are the listing agents not picking that up?
Well,
right?
So they're saying that it's all linked to organized crime.
Right.
So I'm thinking, is the listing agent,
quote
unquote listing agent, is he some
in
gangster that's listing it?
Right. Yeah, it could
or
be.
Is it just like, are they washing money this way? Like, I don't know. I just don't get it. But maybe that's got to be what it is. It can't be that. It can't be just like they're calling up some rube of a realtor to list some place.
Yeah.
And they're not going to pull the title. Like, yeah, I don't know.
If you see a for sale sign with Walter White on the,
Better call Saul as the lawyer.
You'll know what happened. Eh? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
But speaking of like the mortgage fraud this way, I had some clients up in Calgary that are buying a rental, and they were saying that their mortgage broker, so they own their house,
Right.
in cash, no mortgage on it, and their mortgage broker said it would be a good idea if you guys got a line of credit and don't use it like a home equity line of credit, but don't use it, just because if you have your house paid off. Apparently, I don't know if this is true. It seems so ridiculous to me.
Right.
But apparently, if your house is paid off, somebody can pull out a line of credit on your house under your name.
Somebody else. Interesting.
And all of a sudden, you're going to, in the mail, you're going to get this line of credit that's maxed out, but you've never opened it. And I'm like,
wow.
Maybe I got to get some more information because I was just thinking of this. And I was like, how...
It does never cease to amaze me the things that people
would you be on the hook for it?
But... Well,
you wouldn't think so.
One would hope that the bank's going to look into it and
like they're the boneheads for opening this line
obviously.
Of credit.
Yeah. Did you not check ID or did you not, so they're the ones that aren't doing their checks and balances. Right. But I've heard horror stories of people that get, messed around by fraud like that. And,
sure. Just in this case, how do you, like, why would be opening a line of credit?
Yeah,
block somebody else from doing that.
That's interesting. I guess it's good that I've got a line of credit. Good thing.
Yeah.
Huh? Gee, I had no
worry,
idea.
Honey. Don't worry, honey. I'm trying to prevent fraud here.
It wasn't for a trip to Vegas. It was preventative maintenance. Right. That's what we're going for here. Yeah. So okay, good to know. Right? So,
glad you're putting your family first.
Exactly. Hey, I'm a family man. You got to put them first. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
I guess before we wrap this up, is there anything else about the market that we should go over?
Just generally, like we're starting to see, I had an open house over the weekend and it was crazy. Like
Really?
It was nuts. I probably had, every open house I do, I normally print off about 12 feature sheets. I normally go home with 8 or 9 of them or 10 of them. This open house, I ran out of feature sheets within the first half an hour.
So it's also really funny that you say that because just down the street, there was some other realtors having an open house.
Yeah.
They look exactly the same as each other and they're both female. Just kidding. The Property Tims were down the street having an open house.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Property Tims because we both really like them.
Right.
So I was leaving to go get groceries and I was like, oh, open house, Property Twins. I'll go just stop in, say hi.
Yeah.
So I walk in and house is packed too. Like there was like 5 groups that I was there and I was there for like 15 minutes. 5 groups I was there. They all left. And then like constantly, like one after another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So people are out looking.
With the nice weather.
No, it was shit weather.
Oh, okay.
Bad weather.
Beep.
It was bad weather and there were still people out. So
yeah.
Was it
okay?
Good weather when you were doing yours?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Really good weather. It was a busy street, but still, it was crazy. Like I literally, there was just mayhem at the front door. People were walking in, trying to put shoes on as people were walking in and out. I probably had in an hour, about 25 groups come through this open house.
Wow.
And again, it wasn't an $800,000 home. It was a $320,000 home. So in that price range, that's kind of that wheelhouse for most people. And yeah, it was nuts. So I'm kind of looking forward to doing that again.
Yeah, I'm doing some more open houses.
Yeah, I'm going to get out this weekend, do a few more, and hopefully we get similar turnout as well. Because
Did anybody buy the house off of an open house?
Not in that particular case. No. But obviously you get
open houses they're
a crapshoot.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I don't know how to put them, but I always tell like clients when you're going to list their house, they always ask, do you do open houses? I'm like, I'm happy to do an open house as long as we plan it accordingly. So it's not you're calling me on Friday and want an open house tomorrow because you want to market them and you do want to get people out there.
Definitely.
So if you give me the runway to market it and we'll put some good resources behind it, it'll be a much better open house. That being said, I have just as much chance of selling your house doing an open house here as I do doing the open house down the street because they'll walk into that house and say, or your house and say, this one's great, but I'm kind of looking for this. Oh, well, that one's down the street. So if you're down the street doing that one, well, I really like this, but I'm kind of looking for that. Oh, well, that one's over here. So it does get people through your house, but
yeah, and it's one thing that we do as realtors. Our open houses dying. It seems to,
apparently not.
Well, I don't know. It's
They're
just
not as
you know
hot
as
as they
well as
once
I
be.
know that 97% of people buy their house by looking at it on the internet. So, in the 80s, the 90s, open houses were lucrative in order to selling homes. These days, not quite as crucial, but they're still hopping. You know, they're
Apparently.
still crazy, and a lot of people were kind of iffy about open houses when it was COVID. Oh, gee, you want to catch something? Well, you still see the odd person come through in a mask, but for the most part, people don't care. They're just getting out there, and we've been.
There's a big part of me, especially just because I'm like the content guy. I'm like, don't waste my time doing an open house. Let me make a video and put it on the internet, and I'll get thousands of people see it.
Exactly.
Open house. But I do see that there's still some value in like the person to person actually seeing the house.
For sure. Yeah. Well, it's hard for realtors in our mind because you get 5,000 views off of making that video, or 12 people that typically that walk through your open house.
Well,
right?
and if you're selling your house, like, let's look at the numbers. Do you want 12 people or you don't want 5,000?
Yeah, exactly. So, it's but
not saying you can't do both, of course.
Good realtors do both, right? Just because we make a video doesn't necessarily mean we are too good to do an open house. So it's important to get out there and meet people and have chats with people and just talk to them. So open houses are still crucial, and I always like to do them because I like to get out and mingle with the people, as you would say, right? So okay,
it's awesome, Brett. The last thing I wanted to bring up before we end this is that we just had our awards at the realestate.com awards night, and Brett and I were both fortunate enough to both win awards. Both of us were in the top producers, as well as I won another award. I won last year as well for content creator of the year. So,
Kurtis is always the landslide content creator winner. But
thank you. But it was funny because I don't think Brett neither of us actually expected to be on the top producer list. But Brett was like, "There's no chance," and then of course he wins it, and it was floored, I think. So that was awesome.
Yeah, well, my wife was sick too, and I ended up having to take my son to a tournament out in Cardston, so I didn't even make the show.
Right.
And then I get a picture from Kurtis.
Well, that's what he said to me. He's like, I'm not going to win anything anyway.
Well, I'm like, I'm not even in the running, and turns out I was in the running, and so that was pretty awesome. I was pretty excited to see that.
Not to pump our own tires here too much, but it's still pretty cool. Like, it's a lot of work you put into it. So
this industry's a grind, Some days you're sitting there waiting for the phone to ring, you're door to door delivering flyers, it's a grind. So when you get an award like that, it's really nice to see it, and it's rewarding. It's like,
and you don't win the trophies anymore after you're done high school.
Exactly. Nobody being old guys like us. So me, anyways. This young pop. Right? You just don't get those. So it was good to get it for sure.
So
okay,
I think that's it.
Anything else? Nothing else that I can really think of.
Okay. Well, we'll see you guys on the next one for the next monthly market update. Of course, if there's anything you guys have questions about, feel free to reach out to either Brett or myself.
One factor I did remember is that Murray, our new team member, said he was coming for you in the content creator category. So that should be fun.
Yeah. I'm up for competition. I've always said, like, even in the Lethbridge market, I would prefer if there was more content creators out there, because obviously there's room for them, first of all, but second of all, like, I want somebody to compete with too, because I'm super competitive. So if there's like 5-10 other people that are out there doing this, like, it's just going to push me to go in harder.
Bring it. Hey?
My wife wouldn't like that because I already work too much, but
exactly.
I'm always super competitive that way. So
right.
Let's go, Murray.
There you go, Murray. I forgot. I knew I was missing something there. So he's coming for you. And obviously, I'm going to give it my best shot too. But
of course, which I don't know. I appreciate. So.
I can't see me taking that over on you, but got to try.
You can try.
Right? Yeah, I got to try.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
But yeah, thanks again for tuning in to this latest episode of the monthly market update. Again, if you guys have any questions, be sure to reach out to Brett or I. If you guys never want to miss a podcast like this, you can find it on my YouTube channel, on Spotify, or you can follow Brett on his Facebook channel, which is where we post these every month, and on his Facebook profile, where we post these every month. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Until then, by the way, if you guys like this video, be sure to hit the like button. It actually helps us out. And then, like I said, subscribe to any one of these so you can never miss one. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
You bet.
Okay.